What if I told you that most startups fail not because they can't build a product, but because they build the wrong product? Eric Ries discovered a method that helped companies like Dropbox, Airbnb, and Zappos avoid this fatal mistake. And by the end of this summary, you'll know exactly how to apply it to your own business. In the next 15 minutes, you're going to learn the 5 game-changing principles from the Lean Startup that have revolutionized how modern businesses are built. We're covering the build, measure, learn loop that cuts development time in half, the minimum viable product strategy that saves you thousands of dollars, and the validated learning framework that tells you whether to pivot or persevere. No fluff, just the insights that matter. Let's dive in. First, who is Eric Ries and why should you listen to him? Eric Ries was a startup founder who failed multiple times before figuring out what actually works. He watched teams spend months or even years building products that nobody wanted. He saw brilliant engineers waste their talent on features that customers never used. And he realized the traditional business approach was broken. So he developed the Lean Startup methodology, drawing from lean manufacturing principles used by Toyota. But instead of building cars more efficiently, this method helps you build businesses more intelligently. This book isn't just theory. It's been tested by thousands of startups and even adopted by massive corporations like General Electric. The principles work whether you're launching an app from your bedroom or innovating inside a Fortune 500 company. Now let's break down the 5 core concepts. Concept 1, validated learning. The big idea, traditional business thinking says create a detailed business plan, build your product perfectly, then launch it to customers. But Ries argues this approach is fundamentally flawed. Instead, startups should focus on validated learning. This means every action you take should be designed to test a specific hypothesis about your business. You're not just building, you're learning what actually works. Think of your startup as one giant experiment. Your job isn't to execute a plan. Your job is to find out what plan actually works. The problem this solves: most entrepreneurs fall in love with their ideas. They assume customers want what they're building. They spend months in development, perfecting features, polishing the design. Then they launch, and crickets. Nobody cares. Validated learning prevents this tragedy. It forces you to prove your assumptions before you invest serious time and money. Zappos founder Nick Swinburne had a hypothesis: people will buy shoes online. Instead of building a massive e-commerce platform first, he tested this hypothesis. Simply, he took photos of shoes at local shoe stores, posted them online, and when someone ordered, he'd buy the shoes at full price and ship them. Was this scalable? Absolutely not. Was it profitable? No way. But did it validate his core assumption that people would buy shoes without trying them on first? Yes, and that validated learning gave him the confidence to build the real business. That's validated learning in action. Test first, build later. Your takeaway: before you build anything significant, ask yourself, what's the riskiest assumption in my business model? Then design the smallest possible experiment to test it. Get real data from real customers. Only then should you commit resources to building. Concept 2, build, measure, learn loop. The big idea: this is the engine of the Lean Startup methodology. It's a feedback loop with 3 stages: build, measure, learn, then repeat, getting faster each time. Here's how it works. You build a minimum version of your product. You measure how customers actually respond to it. You learn from that data whether your assumptions were correct. Then you either pivot your strategy or persevere with improvements. The key is speed. The faster you complete this loop, the faster you learn, and the faster you can adapt. Why this matters: most companies get stuck in the building phase. They think more features equal more value. Wrong. What matters is learning what creates value for customers. The build, measure, learn loop keeps you focused on learning, not just building. It prevents you from wasting months on features nobody wants. Zappos faced a problem. Their product was a cloud storage service, but explaining cloud storage to people in 2007 was difficult. Building the full product would take months, so how could they validate that people actually wanted it? Drew Houston, Dropbox's founder, created a simple 3-minute video demonstrating how Dropbox would work. He posted it on Hacker News. Overnight, their beta waiting list went from 5,000 people to 75,000 people. That video was their MVP. It let them measure real interest. They learned that yes, people desperately wanted this solution. Only then did they commit to building the full product. They completed a build, measure, learn loop in weeks, not months. The critical mistake. Most people think the loop goes build, then measure, then learn. But Ries says you should actually think about it backwards. Start with what you want to learn. Then figure out what you need to measure to get that learning. Then build only what's necessary to get those measurements. Always start with the learning goal. Let that drive everything else. Your takeaway. Identify what you need to learn about your customers right now. Design a way to measure that learning. Build the absolute minimum to get that measurement. Then do it all over again. Speed is everything.
Concept 3. Minimum viable product. The big idea. The minimum viable product, or MVP, is the smallest version of your product that lets you start the build, measure, learn loop with the least amount of effort. Notice I said smallest, not crappiest. Your MVP should still deliver core value, but it should strip away everything that's not essential to testing your primary hypothesis. This concept challenges your ego. As a founder, you want to build something impressive, something polished, something you're proud to show people. The MVP forces you to ship something that feels embarrassingly simple. But here's the truth. Your beautiful, feature-rich product means nothing if nobody wants it. The MVP helps you find out what people actually want before you waste resources building the wrong thing. When Amazon wanted to test AWS, their cloud computing service, they didn't build a perfect, polished platform. They started with a basic storage service called S3. It did one thing: let developers store files in the cloud. Was it everything AWS would become? Not even close. But it was enough to validate that developers would pay for cloud storage. That learning justified building the rest of AWS, which is now a $90 billion business. One simple service, massive validation. That's MVP thinking. Sometimes your MVP doesn't need to be a product at all. It can be a service you deliver manually. Food on the Table was a startup that wanted to create an app for meal planning based on local grocery sales. Instead of building the app first, founder Manuel Rosso went to a customer's house every week, looked through grocery store flyers with them, and created their meal plan by hand. Did this scale? No. But it let him learn exactly what customers needed. After doing this with real customers, he knew precisely what features the app required. Only then did he build the technology. Your takeaway. Look at what you're building right now. What can you cut? What can you do manually instead of automating? What's the simplest version that still tests your core assumption? Ship that. Learn from it. Iterate. Remember, the goal of an MVP isn't to build a product. The goal is to maximize learning with minimum effort. Concept 4. Pivot or persevere. The big idea. After you've completed several build, measure, learn loops, you reach a critical decision point. Do you pivot, meaning fundamentally change your strategy? Or do you persevere, meaning keep optimizing your current approach? This is one of the hardest decisions an entrepreneur faces. Pivot too early, and you give up on something that could have worked. Persevere too long, and you waste resources on something that will never work. Ries says you should hold regular pivot or persevere meetings. Bring together your team and look at the data. Are your experiments validating your hypotheses? Are you making progress toward product market fit? Or are you just getting vanity metrics that look good, but don't indicate real progress? The key is being honest with yourself. Most founders suffer from confirmation bias. They see what they want to see in the data. They make excuses for why metrics aren't improving. Don't do this. Let the data tell you the truth. There are several types of pivots you might make. A zoom-in pivot is when one feature of your product becomes the whole product. Instagram started as a location check-in app called Bourbon, but they noticed everyone was just using the photo filters. So they zoomed in on photos and became Instagram. A customer segment pivot is when you keep your product but change who you're selling to. YouTube started as a video dating site. When that failed, they pivoted to being a general video platform for everyone. A platform pivot is when you change from an application to a platform or vice versa. Slack started as an internal communication tool for a gaming company. When the game failed, they pivoted to selling their communication tool as a platform. Groupon is one of the most famous pivot stories. It started as a platform called The Point for organizing collective action around social causes. Nobody used it, but the founders noticed something interesting. When they created a group buying deal for a pizza restaurant in their building, people went crazy for it. So they pivoted from social activism to group buying deals. That pivot created a billion-dollar company. They could have persevered with The Point, trying to make social activism work, but the data showed them a different opportunity, and they had the courage to pivot. Your takeaway: schedule regular pivot or persevere meetings. Every 4 to 8 weeks, look at your metrics honestly. Are you making real progress? If you're seeing consistent, validated learning that supports your strategy, persevere. If your experiments keep disproving your assumptions, it's time to consider a pivot. Don't fall in love with your original idea. Fall in love with solving a real problem for real customers, whatever form that takes.
Concept 5, innovation accounting. The big idea: traditional accounting measures things like revenue, profit, and assets. But these metrics don't help early-stage startups. If you have no revenue yet, traditional accounting just tells you you're failing. Innovation accounting gives you better metrics for measuring progress when you're still searching for a business model. It helps you prove you're learning and moving toward product-market fit even before you have impressive revenue numbers. Innovation accounting has 3 stages. First, establish the baseline. Use your MVP to see where you are right now. How many people sign up? How many come back? What's your conversion rate? This baseline tells you your starting point. Second, tune the engine. Make small improvements and see if your metrics improve. You're not trying to achieve dramatic growth yet. You're trying to prove that your efforts actually move the needle. Third, pivot or persevere. If your tuning efforts are consistently improving metrics, persevere. If weeks of tuning barely move the numbers, it's time to pivot. Ries warns about vanity metrics. These are numbers that look impressive but don't actually indicate business health. Total user signups is a vanity metric. It makes you feel good, but it doesn't tell you if people actually use your product. Active users is better. Even better is engaged users who performed key actions. Page views is a vanity metric. Time on site engaged with key features is more meaningful. Focus on actionable metrics instead. These are metrics that clearly connect to the actions you take. If you change something and the metric moves, that's actionable. If a metric just drifts up and down with no clear cause, that's vanity. Eric Ries worked with a startup called IMVU, a 3D avatar chat service. They tracked total registered users as a key metric. The number kept growing, which felt great, but they noticed something weird. Revenue wasn't growing proportionally. When they dug deeper, they realized most new users never came back after the first session. So they switched their focus to activation rate, the percentage of new users who had a meaningful first experience. That metric was terrible. But now they had an actionable metric. They could run experiments to improve activation and see results immediately. Within months, they transformed their business, not by getting more users, but by getting more users to stick around. Your takeaway: identify your actionable metrics. What numbers directly indicate whether your business model is working? Track those relentlessly. Ignore vanity metrics that just make you feel good. And use innovation accounting to prove to yourself and investors that you're making real progress, even before you have massive revenue. Recap and final thoughts. Let's bring it all together. The Lean Startup Method gives you 5 powerful tools. 1. Validated learning. Treat your startup as an experiment to discover what actually works. 2. The build, measure, learn loop. Move through this cycle as fast as possible to maximize learning. 3. Minimum viable product. Build the smallest thing that lets you start learning from real customers. 4. Pivot or persevere. Use data to decide when to fundamentally change direction versus when to keep optimizing. 5. Innovation accounting. Measure real progress with actionable metrics, not vanity metrics. These principles have been used by countless successful startups. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just a startup methodology, it's a mindset. It's about embracing uncertainty, learning rapidly, and letting customer feedback guide your decisions instead of your assumptions.
Whether you're building a tech startup, launching a side hustle, or innovating inside an established company, these principles will help you waste less time and money while dramatically increasing your chances of success. The question isn't whether you should use the lean startup method. The question is, what experiment will you run first? If you found this summary valuable, check out our other book summaries on business and entrepreneurship. And remember, the best way to learn is to start doing. Go build something, test it, learn from it. That's how you win.